The test is on, I think, 5 major things. The first major thing is evaluating logarithms. And that's the simple and advanced. Okay? What does that mean? That means if I give you log of some number, log base 2 of 8, that's a simple one. You should evaluate it without the use of a calculator. I could give you an advanced one, which would be like log base 9 of 1 over 27. You have to evaluate that without a calculator. Okay? So that's the simple and advanced. That's the non-calculator. This, in the entire non-calculator section consists of this. Yes, sir?
So the over the fraction is negative, right?
Yes.
So it'll be like negative 1/3.
Something like that. Okay. So evaluating logarithms, simple and advanced. Then the next is properties of logarithms. That was like that's like product rule, quotient rule, power rule. You know, if you're adding, you multiply. If you're subtracting, you divide. And if it's raised to a power, so you multiply and you raise it to a power. Okay, that's properties of logarithms. The next one is the change of base formula. That's the log base a of b is equal to the log of b over the log of a. Next one after that, fourth, is solving exponential equations. And that's the last Khan Academy exercise that you did, where you had like 2 times 3 to the x equals 8, and then you had to solve for x by simplifying and then turning it into logarithmic form. And then the final thing is solving logarithmic equations. God bless you. Solving logarithmic equations, and this was the last lesson that we did. That's the worksheet that I handed out. For the record, does anyone not have that worksheet? Does anyone not have the worksheet that I passed out, the logarithm worksheet? No? All good? You don't. Anybody else? Okay. All the time, look, these kuta, K-U-T-A, when you see kuta on the top, it means you can just Google it and get the answers. Okay? So you don't have the immediate feedback like you do on Khan Academy, but I'm not concerned with you cheating on this because cheaters never prosper, right? So I don't have to defend against it. I'm not. So the point is there's no reason for you to just copy down the answers. The reason why, so I'm telling you, you can get the answers for your own good. Does that make sense? So if you're studying and you're like, I don't know if I'm getting this right or wrong, just Google it, K-U-T-A, solving logarithmic equations, you'll find all the answers. And that will help you to determine whether or not you got them all right. Any questions so far? Welcome, sir. Good morning and welcome to our glorious classroom. Thank you. Okay, any questions about this so far? All right. There will be multiple choice. There will be free response. It's about 30% free response. There's 26 questions, of which 9 of them are free response. All right, so let's go into it. Evaluating logarithms. Basic. You know, feel free to shorthand, you know. Basic evaluating logarithms. Log base 2 of 8. You've seen this one a million times. What's this? 3. Okay? It's a basic one. If it's just a root, then you think, okay, how many times do I multiply this by itself? What power do I raise it to? Why is it 3? because 2 to the 3 equals 8, right? Next one would be something like log base 64 of 4. This is a little bit more challenging because your base is not the root. The answer is the root. So I have to think, okay, I mean, I have to take a root of it. So what root would it be? Thank you. What root would it be? So this is what you do. You know that 4 is a root of 64. You should know that. If you don't know that, that's okay. You can just kind of work with it. So you start with this number, okay? Whenever the bigger number is the base, you start with this number, the smaller number, right? You say, okay, it goes 4, 16, 64, okay? All right, so 4 to the third is 64, which means that this is the 4 is the cube root of 64. But how do I write that? 1/3. Why? Because 64 to the 1/3 power equals 4. Remember, the 1/3 power is the same thing as the cube root. They are equivalent. Those two statements are equivalent. Okay. The next one is like log base 3 of 1 over 27. Now, if you're just trying to get, now this you could see this as, you know, an advanced one, and that's all right. But to me, this is simple because if you look at the number 27, that's a power of 3, right? 3, 9, 27. So it would be 3 to the third power, but it's 1 over 27, so it's not to the third, it's to the negative third. Okay? So the answer is -3. See? Because 3 to the -3 is the same thing as 1 over 3 to the third, which is 1 over 27. Okay? And then the last one that's kind of simple is like log base 5 of 1. It's just 0, okay? Whenever I've got the log of 1, it's 0. Why? Because anything to the 0 is 1. Okay? So these are all the simple ones that you could do. The only one that's potentially not simple is this one. And if this one doesn't look simple to you, then okay, then you can do it with the advanced method. All right? And the advanced method I'm going to show you. Or we already know, but I'm going to review. Any questions on these so far? Okay. How do you remember it? Well, these are the easy ones. If it's a power, it's just what power is it? It's the third power. This one is a little more challenging. It's a root, so the root is 1 over, right? It's 1 over the number of the root. Does that make sense? Then this one's a little more tough because it's like, well, this is, wait. The thing that's confusing is it's like, okay, it's 1 over, but 1 over, which, how do I determine? Well, when it's just a root, the answer is 1 over a number. When you're looking at the log of a 1 over a number, the reciprocal of a number, right? Then it's negative. See? You see the difference? Here, the fraction is on the outside. Here, the fraction is where you're taking the log of. And the last one is just log of 1. 0. Okay. Next. Evaluating logarithms. Advanced. So, what about if I give you something like this? Log base 9 of 27. Well, in this case, 9 is not a root of 27. So I can't just make it simple. Oh, it's the third power or something like that. So what do? I set this equal to x. This then becomes 9 to the x equals 27. I then find the common root. What's the common root? Common root is 3. So this is 3 squared to the x, and this is 3 to the third. I end up with 3 to the 2x equals 3 to the third. Since those are equal, I equate my exponents, and I get 2x equals 3. Divide both sides by 2, and I end up with x equals 3 halves. Okay? That's the advanced method. You set it equals x and you solve.
Okay, I get like the rest of it, but it's just like the middle. It's gonna be confusing.
Okay.
2 to x.
Thumb, pinky, thumb. 9 to the x is 27, right?
Yeah.
9 is 3 squared. So you just change 9 to 3 squared. 27 is 3 to the third, right? Then you just drop those parentheses, right? Because when I raise an exponent to another exponent, they multiply. Just doing 3 to the 2x equals 3 to 3. Equate the exponent, and you're done. Any questions on that? Okay. Another example. I'm going to keep going. I'll keep it up. Log base 4 of 1 over 1 over 8, let's say. Okay. Well, 8 is not a power of 4. What was that?
Common factor.
Yeah, so I set it equal to x. This then becomes 4 to the x equals 1 over 8. Then I find the common root. What's the common root? 2. Good. 4 is 2 squared. Then I don't deal with the fraction. I just keep it as a fraction, but 8 is 2 to the third, right? I rewrite this. This becomes 2 to the 2x. This becomes 2 to the, not to the third, negative third. Since these are equal, I then go ahead and equate the exponents. I get 2x equals negative 3. Divide both sides by 2. And I end up with x equals negative 3 halves. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Okay. What about if you end up with the one that I gave you before, log base 3 of 1 over 27, and you can't see this one as a simple one? This doesn't look simple to you, and you're like, I don't even want to deal with that. It's too much. Well, you do the advanced method. So this becomes 3 to the x equals 1 over 27. Okay? What's the common root? 3. 3 is already 3, so you don't have to touch it. So it just stays 3 to the x. 27 is 1 over 3 to the third. Good morning, sir. Welcome to this glorious classroom. It's good to see you. All right. 3 to the x equals 1 over 3 to the third. You rewrite it. 3 to the x equals 3 to the negative 3. You then equate your exponents. You get x equals negative 3. Okay? Any questions about that? Okay. You can use this method for any logarithm. If this is just easier for you, then you can just use it. But I think the simple ones you should just be able to look at and evaluate. Any questions on this? Okay. Pedro, this is on YouTube, so you'll be all right. All right, moving forward. Properties of logarithms. Properties of logarithms include three properties: product rule, quotient rule, power rule. What's the product rule? Product rule is log of A plus log of B equals log of A times B. Okay? What does this look like? Log of 4 plus log of 20 equals log of 4 times 20, which is log of 80. Okay? That's the product rule. All right? Quotient rule. Is that the log of A minus the log of B equals the log of A over B. What is this? The log of 18 minus the log of 6, God bless you, equals the log of 18 over 6 equals the log of 3. These are the kind of ones that you really just want to practice because they're so simple that if you just practice them, you'll be able to get them. The thing about it that makes it tough is you have to be able to recognize what you're doing. Yes, ma'am.
I was just about to ask if you were gonna ask on the test what
Use
is the
yeah.
product.
No, I'm never going to ask what's the product rule or the quotient rule. I'm just going to ask you. The question will just look like simplify the log of 18 minus the log of 6. And you have to know, oh, this is quotient rule, right? So the hard part is just recognizing what you're doing. And in order to strengthen your ability to recognize, you just takes practice. That's all. Okay, and the last one is the power rule. Yes. Yeah, you could just leave it as a fraction. Simplify the fraction fully, or you can just convert it to a decimal. This you'll have your calculator on at that point, so you'll be able to do it that way, if there is. But I'm pretty sure on the test I gave them all. They're well, they could all be divided evenly. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So, but good question. All right. Next, power rule. Power rule says that if I have B times the log of A, that's equal to the log of A to the B power. What does this look like? 3 times the log of 5 equals not log of 3 times 5. Don't make that mistake. It's log of 5 to the third power.
So there's 0 log of A?
B log A. And you better believe that on that test there is the option in this. If I gave you 3 log 5, I'm going to give you an option on multiple choice log of 15. Better believe that's going to be there. If on the test I give you 3 log of 5, you better believe one of the answer choices is going to be log of 15. Why? Because it's going to be, oh yeah, just multiply. Oh, 3 times 5 is 15, but that's wrong. Okay, so don't fall into that trap. 3 log of 5 is log of 5 to the third power. Okay? Which is log of 5, 25, 125. Pencil. Any questions on this? It takes practice. It takes practice. You know, it's not a test if it's just handed to you. Right? That's not a test. That's just a free meal. Right? Which are good, but that's not a test. Any questions on those so far? No? Okay. Last one, or not last one, third one. Change of base rule. Change of base rule is the log base A of B equals the log of B over the log of A. Now, there are two questions on this one that are simply just use your calculator and evaluate the log. So, what would this be like? It would be like, oh, find the log base 2 of 7. And you have to be able to know, okay, that's just the log of 7 over the log of 2. Type it in your calculator. 2.807 or 2.807. Done. That's right. It's okay. All right. That's one version. Another thing could be like log base 3 of 1 over 8. Log base 3 of 1 over 8 is just the log of 1/8 over the log of 3. So you have to be able to type that into your calculator. So it's log of 1 divided by 8, close parentheses, divided by the log of 3. Guys, if you're typing in your calculator the logarithm, make sure you close those parentheses off, because otherwise you might make an algebraic mistake. So, and this just comes out to negative 1.893. Okay? So those ones are just calculator things. All right? If you need help with your calculator, you can come. I'll be available after school today if you want to come see me for extra help. Any questions on these? Okay. Continuing on with the change of base rule, we have things like this. Log base C of 9 times log base 3 of C. So use the change of base rule. This becomes log of 9 over log of C times the log of C over the log of 3. What happens to the logs of C? Cancel. Good. So this just becomes log of 9 over the log of 3. Then you have to translate this back using the change of base rule. It becomes log base 3 of 9. Okay? What's log base 3 of 9? 2. Why? Because 3 to the second power equals 9. Any questions on this one? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I get everything up to about the second last step, the log of 3 to 9.
Okay, so these cancel out, so I end up with log of 9 over log of 3, right? But the change of base rule says the log of B over the log of A is the same thing as the log base A of B, right? So I just change it back using that, and then 3 squared equals 9. So the answer is 2. Good question. Any other questions? Okay. What about this? 1 over log base A of 4. How do I do this one? Well, whenever you've got a fraction like this, you just turn it to 1 divided by. So 1 divided by log base a of 4. Now using the change of base rule, that becomes 1 divided by log of what? 4, good. Log of 4 over log of a, which when I'm dividing by a fraction, I multiply by the reciprocal. Very good. Multiply by log of a over log of 4. Well, the 1 just cancels out because it's just 1. So this becomes log of a over log of 4, which by the change of base rule becomes log base 4 of a. And that's your final answer. Can't do any simplification because you don't know what a is. Right? So that's that. That's change of base rule. Any questions on that? Yes, ma'am.
Is there gonna be one where it's log where the a is there's gonna be a number and then 4 is a letter?
Could be, but it ends up being the exact same thing. And honestly, just like words to the wise,
You just
you just
Yeah.
flip them. If it's 1 over it, look what happens. Instead of log base a of 4, it's log base 4 of a. You just get the reciprocal. So it's completely fine if you recognize that and you're like, oh, that's easy. You know, I don't necessarily like to point those things out to you because I like you to be able to do the work, but at the end of the day, like, it's pretty straightforward. But if you could get something like that, you could get something where the log is on, another log is on the top. You got to be able to do them. All right. Any questions? Okay. Next, solving exponential equations. It's our second to last thing. Solving exponential equations. Get right into it. 2 times 3 to the 4x equals 18. Or, sorry, not 18, 20. Okay? So I got to solve for x. In order to solve for x, I first have to isolate my exponential. So I end up with 3 to the 4x equals 10. Now, I've got it in simplified exponential form here. So I have to now convert this to logarithmic form in order to solve. So this becomes log base, what's the base? 3, good, of 10, good, equals 4x. To solve it from here, I divide by 4. And I end up with x equals log base 3 of 10 over 4. I can't do that in my calculator, so I have to use the change of base. It becomes log of 10 over the log of 3. I'll do that in my calculator. Once I get the answer, I then divide that by 4. So I do the log of 10 divided by the log of 3, hit enter, and then divide that by 4. And I end up with 0.524. That's solving exponential equations. Okay? Yes, sir.
I'm always confused. That is like on Khan Academy.
It had 2 answer choices.
Yeah.
You're not going to.
Okay.
The question is just going to ask you for that. So it's not going to ask you for this part. Okay? So you're just going to be expected to find the answer. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions about this? All right. Now, you could also be given something like this. 3 times e to the 2x equals 18. All right, so maybe you've got something with e in it. Well, remember, e is just a number, so I treat it the same way. I divide both sides by 3. I get e to the 2x equals 6. Then I have to write it in logarithmic form. Log base what?
6.
Base e of 6 equals 2x. What's another way of writing log base e? ln. Very good. So ln of 6 equals 2x. Divide both sides by 2. Cool thing about this is you don't have to do the change of base rule because you just have the ln button in your calculator. So you just do ln of 6 divided by 2. Make sure you close your parentheses on that ln. You get 0.896 is your final answer. Mm-hmm.
So like on the test, there's gonna be like ones that have like decimal points in that x, like they do like 3 times.
I don't think so.
3 times
I don't think I did that.
2.7 or like.
I don't think I did that to you guys. I don't remember specifically, but even if there is, it's just you treat it the same way. It's just the numbers a little bit more difficult. But I don't think I did that to you guys. I'm just making sure that you understand, not that you can work with difficult numbers. Any questions on this? All right. Last thing. Solving logarithmic equations. Okay. So this worksheet is like the way to go. Don't worry about like 11 through 14, the ones that we're factoring on this worksheet. 11 through 14, I'm not giving you one with factoring in there. I just didn't. All right. But a good example for this one would be like number 4, where we have log of 4k minus 5 equals log of 2k minus 1. You just set them equal. It's the same log, same base of the log, so you just set them equal. You get 4k minus 5 equals 2k minus 1. Subtract 2k from both sides. Very good. 2k minus 5 equals 1. What was that? Oh, negative 1, sorry. Negative 1, thank you. You get 2k equals negative 1 plus 5 is 4.
Divided by 2k equals.
Very good. K equals 2. Nice. So that's a very simple one with logarithms. The next that I'll have you focus on, like I said, 11 through 14 are not fair game on the test. I'm not going to give you those. So 11 through 14 on this worksheet, if you just want to cross them out, that's fine with me. I hope that you did them, but if you didn't, that's fine, because I'm not going to be testing you on it. 11 through 14 is the factoring ones, okay? But everything else is fair game, but I'm going to point you in the direction that I think is most necessary. So number 17 is log of 2 plus log of x equals 1. All right, what do I do here? I have 2 logs added together. Multiply, that's the properties of logarithms. This becomes log of 2x equals 1. You guys got to know this. Log 2 plus log of x becomes log of 2x. What's the base of this logarithm? Even though it doesn't say it, we know it's 10. Good. So this becomes, once you have that, you use that thumb, pinky thumb, it becomes 10 to the first power, 10 to the 1 equals 2x. What is 10 to the 1? It's just 10. 10 equals 2x. Divide by 2. X equals 5. All right. Yeah, all I mean by that is the base to this equals that. 10 to the 1 equals 2x. It just makes it easier for me to remember. So, good question, thank you. All right, last one. Last one is number 26, and then that'll be it. 26. ln of 4x plus 1 minus ln of 3 equals 5. Okay, I've got ln's, so I know I'm working with e here. But before I do anything, I have to use the properties of logarithms. This becomes what? I'm subtracting, so it... Division, yeah. 4x plus 1 over 3 equals 5. Right? The base implied here is an e, so then I know it's e to the 5th equals this whole thing, which is e to the 5th equals 4x plus 1 over 3. What do I do now? I got to get x by itself. What's the first step? Multiply by 3. Good. I end up with 3 e to the 5th equals 4x plus 1. I subtract 1 from both sides. I get 3 e to the 5th minus 1 equals 4x. Last step, divide by 4. My final answer is x equals 3 e to the 5th minus 1 over 4. Final answer. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Why would it be 2e to the 5th?
Because you multiplied by 3. It was over 3. So multiplied by 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right. So that about does it for our review. My recommendation for you is that you go home, you finish up all your Khan Academy exercises. If you finish any that you got a 0 in on my CCA, make sure you send me an email so I can change the grade. And you just go through them, get all the exercises done. If you need help, go back and watch this video. Understood? All right. Thank you guys for your attention today. I will see you in class tomorrow.